Hey friends, it's Catherine here. So happy to 22 on this Thursday afternoon. This is actually the first time I have gone live on YouTube, and I'm jumping right in because, well, for a few reasons. One was I had an Akashic Records reading last night. Um, and one of the messages that came through was for me to be doing more lives and kind of bringing my presence, my energy, my vibration out. So I was sitting here for a few minutes between clients, and it popped into my mind to share a couple of things, that one vision and one message that I received, one the day of the election and one a couple of days later, that I've been sharing with some people, and it's seeming to bring maybe some comfort in a time when a lot of people are feeling, a little still heartbroken or distraught, or even in some cases terrified. And so I thought that since I was given this invitation by the records, by my guides, and these beautiful messages, that I would jump on. And, I thought it was funny that it was just 2:22 as I was hitting the go button. So anyway, let me just share with you without further explanation. I'll say a couple of things at the end. So the first thing was, I dropped into the Akashic Records on Tuesday, on election day, and basically asked, how will the results of this election today affect the course of history in the United States, in the immediate timeline, and in the future? And I just asked for some, clear information regarding the election and the course of the United States, as I just said. And so as I was sitting, just connecting with the records and waiting for the information to drop in, I began to sort of sense myself standing almost like in a desert sort of scene. And in the horizon, not too far away, not like all the way out on the horizon line, but out in front of me, there was what I would call sort of like a plateau or a step, a piece of land that rises up and then sort of is flat and then goes back down again. So it's not really a hill or a mountain, but it is raised. So that's the general sort of environment that presented itself to me. And I'm going to read what I wrote. So out in front of me, I see this rise quite wide out in the horizon. And behind this rise, the sun is just starting to come up. So it's just peeking up sort of over the bottom of the rise. You can just see it starting to come up. And on the rise are many, many, many women standing on the rise. And they're sort of quiet and I would say not animated in this first vision. But what I did notice was that the woman who was standing sort of front and center was holding an American flag. And the women were chatting or moving around, but there wasn't a lot of animation. And behind all of the women, I could see sort of in what appeared like silhouette fashion, sort of a line of men from one end to the other, sort of almost standing at attention, it felt like, with their hands kind of maybe over their lower abdomen, just kind of standing in that soldier-like position. And I'm seeing all of this and kind of saying, okay, that's interesting and curious. I wonder what that all means. And the next thing I know, sort of from out of the side, if it were my peripheral vision, right, if it was actually something coming across my vision, there was this big gust of wind, and then what I would sort of describe as a big tumbleweed. Like it was just this very large, very dusty, very sort of chaotic energy that began to move across the front of this hill, so that it pretty much obscured everything except maybe a little bit of light at the top, but it pretty much obscured the entire hill and the people on it. and even the sun that was starting to come up. So that went on for a few moments. And then there was another gust of wind that seemed to sort of blow through and blow this what do you call it? I just said it, big dusty weed thing completely out of the picture. Um, and it had been almost, it felt really dry. There was a sense of almost suffocation as that tumbleweed, that's what it is, was blowing through. But all of a sudden, this other wind came through, and it felt, the air felt better again, and I felt like I could breathe again. Um, and as that all cleared up, I could see that the sun had come up higher behind this hill and this plateau and this group of people. And from the line of men that were standing behind the women, one of the men who was standing directly behind the woman in front holding the flag started to move around the whole group and come around out front. And as he was doing that, I could see the women were becoming much more animated, and it looked like they were celebrating. They were sort of hugging and almost, crying and, jumping up and down, and just this real sense of joy and energy and celebration. And as they're doing that, this male figure walks around and stands facing the woman holding the flag. And the next thing I know, he gets down on one knee. If you're Catholic, you would call this a genuflect, right? He goes down on one knee and then sort of stands again in front of her. And from someplace in his beingness, he pulls out a piece of cloth and he opens it and begins to wrap it around her and clasp it, at the front. And it's actually an American flag with the stars, coming around across her shoulders and draping all the way to the ground. And then he takes a staff that apparently he had been holding, but I had not seen earlier, or he just manifested it in that moment. And he hands it to her in the opposite hand than the one she's holding the flag with. And he takes a step back and he bows his head. Sort of, I didn't see this because I had his vision from behind, but it felt like he sort of had his hands at his heart, or in some position of recognition. And he kind of bows his head and he turns around and walks back where he was, right? And the celebration goes on. And then sort of that image came to an end. And of course, because that was election day, my interpretation of that was that we were going to have a woman president at the end of the voting process. And as we all know, that didn't happen. So, kind of the heartbreak and the disappointment and the what the heck feeling, of a couple of days. And really, I don't want to make light of the depth of the heartbreak and the sadness, and also real fear for not so much for myself, but for women in general, but for the most marginalized people and the people who have the most to be concerned about with this current administration. So it took me a couple of days to kind of get my equilibrium back. And I sat down again and I started to do some channeled writing. And as I sat down, I just, said, hi, spirit, as I sit today, trying to quiet my mind and my body and my spirit. I open up to receive any guidance and wisdom from my soul. So this was the message 2 days later. And I'll read it just as I wrote it. Do not despair, dear one, as you allow yourself to feel and imagine the world as it is now and will become in the near future. Please know that while it will be very dark for some time, that the light is growing brighter minute by minute, day by day. commit to strengthening your light and joining with others who understand the importance of holding a higher vibration through these dark days. Know that an army of spiritual, non-physical warriors stand with you and around you. Make your commitment even stronger now to take your part in the army of light workers who have prepared for this time over many lifetimes. Together, standing strong in the light, you will be victorious in charting a new course for humanity and Mother Earth. We are with you, and we celebrate your service to humanity's evolution. Thank you. Those were the two messages, one sort of vision form, one written, that are sort of supporting me, right? Sort of holding me up as we move through whatever this next period of time will be. So as I have shared them with some other people and my clients, they have also, said that they felt relieved and supported, and many have had similar messages, and you may have had similar messages yourself. So I just leave you with that today, sending you lots of love. And I don't know all the things people say on YouTube, like other than subscribe or whatever, but I am going to listen to the invitation of the guides who came through in my Akashic Records reading last evening with Jennifer Spohr. By the way, I want to shout out to Jennifer. And I will be back soon. That's my commitment to you. All right. Take care now.